again, thank you again for being here. And without further ado, here is Juan.
Thank you, Vane. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. This masterclass will be recorded, so you will receive a link if you want to watch it again, or you can share it with people that couldn't attend today. So today we are talking about benefits and challenges implementing BPM. I mean, this will be a more methodological and soft skills based class instead of the typical technical and product oriented classes. So our agenda today will be a very, very brief introduction and main concept. Then we will focus on benefits of implementing BPM. And then the core part of the class will be challenges and risks when implementing BPM. And finally, we are closing with some experience and best practices that we have found very useful in order to increase the success rate of your BPM project. Okay? Well, great. As you remember, BPM is not just a technology, it is a technology plus methodology. I mean, obviously, we need software, we need a BPM suite to automate and improve our processes, but we also need some techniques and methodologies that help us to complete this improvement cycle. For example, the first step in the BPM discipline is modeling the business process, and then we need methodologies to retrieve and formalize the process models. Then, yes, we pass to the automation part in which we use the BPM suite and specifically the process engine to execute the process. And then we will need to measure how these processes are running using KPIs, and we will be using technology again to finally optimize those processes. And again, we are using soft skills then to identify improvement opportunities and to change and improve the process, restarting the improvement cycle again. So with this concept in mind, we can move forward to the type of BPM implementation projects that we can find in our organizations. And most of the BPM projects are medium grade or huge. Usually you don't have very, very small implementation project in BPM because it simply doesn't make sense to implement a BPM suite if you have 2 users or a team of 3, But when you have bigger teams or bigger organization, then it makes sense to implement a BPM project. So we can find medium project with impact in your team or section, with a minor software investment, with limited or no consulting at all, when benefits are in the short term and you can expect a few weeks to see them. For example, and this is a very, very typical example, is human resources applications using Fluxo. For example, in the British hospital here in our country, this is the most important private hospital in the country, that they implemented several human resources applications within 8 weeks and for about 100 users. And this is a very, very typical medium project in which you can expect to see results quickly in a few weeks. Then we have bigger projects in which you involve several teams, several areas. Of course, you are making a medium investment in software and consulting, probably with medium and long-term benefit. And usually you need months to see the result. And this is another example of one of our customers, that it is Colliers International. They are a very, very big firm, worldwide firm, and they implemented more more than 80 processes with more than 400 customers in several months. But now they have processes that are across all the organization, involving users from several countries and from several business units. And then we also have in BPM the huge project that impacts the entire organization, that requires a high software investment. Of course, it also needs process and change management consulting, and you can see the benefits in the medium, but probably in the long term. And it can take years to see those benefits. And here I brought the example of the transformation of the United Kingdom's health system. That was a project of around $16 billion. It took several years. In fact, it is running right now. And of course, it has a lot of problems. It had a lot of problems and challenges, but it worked and it produced really, really amazing results. So we have different kind of projects, and I will be using this slide further when we have to choose the right tool for the right type of project and the right tool for our organization. Okay. So when you buy software, traditional software, you try to balance cost and benefit. You want to spend money, yes, but you want to get benefits. And if benefits are bigger than cost, okay, happy face, smiling. And if not, sad face. When you specialize this software and you use BPM, what you're using is getting more benefits with lower cost for a specific niche, for a specific vertical in your organization, that it is the process field. You need to automate and improve your process, so you are moving the middle to the right. And if you specialize more and you use no-code and low-code BPM, then you are increasing the benefits and you are lowering the cost of implementing and automating processes because you are quicker. So this is the concept that we will be using in the rest of the presentation. Change how you run your processes quickly and adapt to new needs and requirements. Then compliance and risk. This is a very, very relevant part of automating and formalizing your processes. And finally, but not less important, provide a better customer experience. So let's dig in. When we talk about increased efficiency and cost reduction, okay, this is like the obvious part of BPM. This is what you're expecting when you buy a BPM software and when you implement a BPM project. It's pretty obvious because you are identifying and eliminating redundancies. Because the BPM tool allows you to analyze and map the current process and gain visibility to see what you don't need to do or what is redundant. So you can optimize your cost and your resources to run the same processes. On the same page, when you automate repetitive tasks, then you are removing time-consuming tasks from your people in order to gain productivity. They can process more work in the same time because you are removing repetitive and non-added value tasks. And finally, monitoring and continuous improving your process helps you to continually increase your efficiency and see for other costs that you can reduce. Let me tell you a little example that I found very useful, that it is pretty obvious, but sometimes we don't see this improvement. We have a customer that it is the main private bank in our country and one of the biggest banks in the world. and they automated a loan process, the typical loan process in a bank. But they managed to send emails to the loan requester every time the loan application moves forward in the process. What is that? It's that it means sending an email telling, hey, your loan request has moved forward, and now it is in this particular step. Okay? Okay, pretty obvious, right? But this simple mechanism of letting know the customer every time that the loan request move forward reduced 80% of the calls, WhatsApp messages, and emails that the customer sent to the accountant, to the commercial manager, or the accountant, the assigned account manager, asking for information, because the customer usually pick up the phone and say, hey, where is my loan request? How long it will take? Where in the process it is? But if you automate this task and you let the BPM suite to notify the customer every time it moves, the customer doesn't need to pick up the phone. So it frees the time for the bank employees to perform more added value activities. For example, thinking about the customer, their needs, and offering new products that the customer may need. Okay? Instead of having to answer the phone and look for the process, the loan request, and telling, hey, your loan request is in this stage and you can expect blah, blah, blah. So very, very real life example that it's obvious, but it produces really, really big gains. Second point, improve collaboration and communication. Okay, when you have your process formalized, you are defining very, very clear roles and responsibilities for each task of the process. So it improves the communication and the collaboration among employees. And you can also foster the collaboration, enabling comment and sharing knowledge when processing their process instances. For example, continuing with the loan request example that I mentioned, you can add a comment saying, hey, Peter, look at this loan request. I think it could be risky. So this is not a formal information or formal data in the request form. This is a comment between two collaborators, but includes relevant knowledge for approving or rejecting this loan. And this will be traced in order to know who raised the alert and who respond to this alert. The other relevant point is process visibility. By providing a clear and transparent view of the process and workflows, everybody can be in the same page, can discuss the process, can know how the process runs, and can improve the process. And finally, the integration of the processes with other systems obviously can enable better communication and improve the collaboration. Well, third benefit, greater agility and adaptability. When you have your process model, what you have done is taking out the knowledge of how this process runs out from people's mind, and you have put it in the BPM suite. So when you need to change how the process runs, you don't have to change people's mind. That takes a lot of time and it is very, very difficult. You just need to change the process diagram in the BPM suite. And this very, very simple concept is very, very powerful because you can adapt quickly and you can adapt cheaper. Of course, data analysis included in the BPM suite will help you to see the information that you need for those changes. So if you get information and you get a tool to quickly modify your processes, then you are agile. You are agile to adapt and to respond to market, compliance, customers, or internal changes. And of course, all this paradigm helps to innovate and to create better processes and better products and better services. Okay, for benefits, regulatory compliance and risk management. And this is pretty obvious, but it is very, very important. When you have standards and standardized processes, you have visibility and you can be sure that your processes will run as you expect to run. Moreover, when you receive an auditor, you can show the auditor all the process steps with the trails that demonstrate that the process in the past ran as you say that it would run, and it ran with compliance. Okay, this is very, very difficult to show and to prove if you don't have the audit trails. So the BPM suite will store the audit trails and it will be really, really easy to prove your compliance. And once you have done this, you are also reducing the risk of running these processes because you can be sure that your processes will run with all the controls and with all the approvals that you defined, because it is not running over the email, over a WhatsApp message. It is running over a BPM suite following a formal process definition. Okay, finally, but the most important thing is that all these things that we have been talking about at the end of the day produces a better customer experience. Because if you have better response times, you have happy customers. If you can personalize the service because you have the time to do it and you are not doing repetitive tasks, and you can use your time to understand your customers' needs and provide a better services or a better customized service, then you have happier customers. And of course, if you innovate and you are continuously improving your processes, then you are also providing better products and services to your customers, so they will be happier too. Okay, this is great, amazing. Okay, all of you are in the queue to buy Fluxo or any other BPM suit because everything is great. Okay, that's like everything in life, nothing comes for free, or there is no free lunch, you know? So we also have a few challenges and risks when implementing BPM that we need to address. And this is what I'm going to tell you about right now. So scary, right? Scary words. You talk about automation, ooh, layoff, reduction in force, measuring your efficiency, not mine, your efficiency and productivity with KPI, objective KPIs for everyone, removing tasks that don't add value. Okay, all these words are scary, and they are scary for everyone, for every human being. And this is very relevant. We as human beings don't like to change what we know. We need to have certainly know what will happen tomorrow and what will be doing our team tomorrow. So when we are in a BPM project, we are probably introducing a disruptive change because we are changing significantly the way that people do their jobs. You are changing the tools. You are introducing formal processes. You are taking knowledge out of people's mind to create a new formal process that will run in a BPM suite. You will measure this process with KPIs. At the end of the day, you will measure people's performance automatically, objectively, without subjectivities. So this is our disruptive change. So it's natural for human beings to be afraid. So this is not a problem. This is reality. This is a fact. So we need to plan with this fact in mind. People will be afraid. Okay, there's no good or bad people because one is afraid and the other not. Everyone could be afraid, and that's okay. That's a reality fact. So we need to manage. We can group the main challenges in four. The first is organizational change that obviously has a lot to do with the previous slide. Then we have project planning and definition. It is really relevant to have a good project plan. Then we have technical skills and resource management. We need to be sure that we have the team with the skills that we need. And finally, technology implementation and adoption. And it is the end because I want to put this in the end. We need to address the first three before moving to technology implementation and adoption. So we need to try to avoid three roads to hell when implementing the BPM. And which are those roads? The first road to hell is spending a lot of money and time changing processes and technology, but at the end of the day, getting the same results. And this is very common. I mean, I have spent a lot of time. I introduced a new tool. I introduced a new technology. Everybody learned how to use this tool and technology. But at the end of the day, I have the same results. Okay? No gain. The second road to hell is killing mosquitoes with cannonballs. I mean, a lot of investment in money and time for little contribution to the process or to the business, because we are not exploiting the full potential of the BPM suite. Okay, this is different from the first road because we have a gain, we have improved, but this improvement is very little compared to the investment that we made. And let me tell you on another real life example that happened to us. We had a medium-sized financial customer that was evaluating our technology and the BPM suite, and we needed to choose the first process to automate. So having a few chats with them, we as a team decided to automate a claim and request process for customers. It was a process that they did using email and WhatsApp messages and this kind of informal stuff. It worked, they didn't lose complaints and requests, but it was not a formal process and it hadn't KPIs or any other measure. So that's okay. We implemented the process and we put the process in production. And what happened? That the improvement that we achieved was very little compared to the investment in time and in software licenses. Why? Because the process was not very relevant. The process worked in the previous stage I mean, when they used emails and WhatsApp messages, and they didn't receive so many customer complaints and requests. So they receive like one or two per week. Okay, so for one or two per week, you don't need a BPM suite and an automated process, Or maybe you can do it, but you can do it a few months later when you have other core processes automated. So this is a very, very clear example of the relevance of choosing the right first process, balancing the benefits and the investment. And the third road to hell is the most complicated to solve, that is the compliance drama. I mean, when everybody supports and smiles and participates and has energy and says, okay, yes, I love the BPM initiative, I will support it and I will use it, and that is great. But when in production, everybody returns to their pre-project comfort village. You, they seem to be supporting the project, but then they get back, they don't support the project, they don't use the technology, they talk uh, about the project between lines, and they finally get back to the previous state. And this is very, very difficult to identify and to solve if it is happening, but you need to address them. Why? Because this road to hell will not only jeopardize the initial project, but they will jeopardize any further BPM initiative or even any process improvement initiative. And this will lead to put in risk the viability and sustainability of the organization in the medium and long term, because the organization is not evolving, it's not adopting the technology that it needs to survive. So in the middle or in the long term, it cannot survive. Okay, it could happen if you don't incorporate the technology that you need. Okay, next point, organizational change and resilience. You need to have clear and transparent communication between all the levels in your organization to ensure that every stakeholder understands the benefit and objective of the BPM project, as well as the impact that it will have. And when I mean impact, I mean that the first day, the first weeks will be a mess. You are introducing a different technology, a different way of doing the things. So it will be a mess for a day or for a week. And then results will appear. But you need to be clear. It is a really, really bad practice to promise a wonderland. Everything will be fine. Everything will run smoothly. No, it won't. The first day will be a mess. You need to be clear on that. And involve the employees, involve the stakeholders. It is awful when you spend 3 months building a process, automating a process, and then you show to the employee, and the really involved employee that will be using the process says, okay, it doesn't fit my need. It doesn't work for me. Okay, so you need to involve these employees from the first day. You need to show your process. You need to ask for comment. You need to take his or her feedback into consideration and into the process. And finally, you need visible and committed leadership. From the top manager to the bottom of the organization, you need only one message. This is an important project. We need to support the BPM initiative. Because when people see that the top managers support the initiative, are more likely to support the initiative too. Pretty simple. Okay. Next point, project planning. You need a project. Okay, you need a project. You need to start you need an end, you need milestones, you need a project leader, and you need a team. So it's very relevant to have a BPM project to automate the process. It is not like, okay, let's see what happens. No, you need a project. And you need the technical skills to implement this project. So if you will have your process integrated with your ERP, you need people from the ERP side to build this integration. If you need your process to be integrated with your CRM, that's great, but you will need people on the CRM side to build this integration. So you will need technical skills, and you will need to manage the resources of the organization that you will need to build the project. And it could be complex. It could be complex. Just imagine a big project. You remember the first slide? Medium project, big project, huge project. Okay, just in the middle, a big project that you need to automate a process that will integrate with the ERP, with the CRM, and with, I don't know, with Twitter. Because at the end of the process, you need to send a tweet. Okay, we will need different skills. You will need ERP, CRM, but also you will need tools like Zapier to connect your process with Twitter. Okay, so these technical complexities need to be addressed before you start the project. And you probably will need BPM experts, people that can model a business process, that can have interviews with the stakeholders to retrieve the knowledge and to model the process in a formal BPMN diagram. Okay, we'll need it. You can have it in your organizations, or you can hire them from the outside or from a consultancy service firm. That's okay, but you need them, and you need to know it. And that's it. And finally, the last point that I mentioned. So once you solve all the previous points and you address all these issues, then you can move the technology implementation and adoption. So we will need to analyze and map the existing processes. This is a BPMN diagram, BPMN with an N at the end is the worldwide standard for process modeling. It's like the de facto standard, and now it's an OMG standard. So it's like the English, everybody that knows about processes speaks BPMN. So you can have a really, really useful tool here to model and to communicate your processes inside your organization. Then you will need to evaluate the integrations and ensure the compatibility and effective integration of your BPM suite with the other systems in your organization. For example, if you have an ERP, continuing with the example, does the ERP speaks web services? Can you use web services to integrate your process with the ERP? If yes, okay, it could be simpler. But if not, you will have an integration issue, and you will have to find out how to integrate your ERP with the process engine. And finally, of course, you need to monitor, you need to measure the state and the performance before the project. Then you have the performance at the end of the implementation, and then you have the performance later when you have the process working and in regime. And in this step, no code and local technologies gains a really, really big importance, and they are under the spotlight. Why? Because low code and no code dramatically reduces deployment and development time, allowing faster production, faster time to market, and it allows you to display your result very quickly and then iterate. You show the process, your employees can see the process running, they can provide feedback, and you can implement the changes very quickly and show the results again and obtain feedback and again and again and again. This reduces the complexity and the risks of the software implementation. And of course, it's very relevant if the BPM suite includes out-of-the-box monitoring. I mean, from day one, I want to measure how the process is running. So I don't have to connect the process with a business intelligence tool. It is already in the BPM suite, measuring how the process is running and providing the KPIs that you need to understand your process and your opportunities to improve it. Okay, great. Well, as you know, in Fluxo, we have more than 600 customers all over the world in 6 continents with a very, very, very huge, wide application scenarios. I mean, we have seen a lot of applications in different industries, in different countries, in different teams, in different languages. So we can extract best practices that we have seen that works, and of course, there are more than 4 group of best practices, but we can group them in 4 groups that are the most common at that we can be sure that they produce amazing results. So the first is people first. The second is choosing the right tool. The third is using iterative methodologies. And the fourth is measuring and improve. So I will open the chat here. But usually people choose people as the first area to prioritize. And this is the easy question, people first. Okay, great. But which is the second? This is the more difficult question. Which is the second? Second is people, and the third, you can guess it. The third is people too. People first. People is the most difficult to manage and the most difficult to combine and the most difficult to have on board. Then you have the people on board and the people supporting your project. Process and structures and tools and technology are much more easier. So we can identify 3 moments of change management in a BPM implementation. So before the implementation, you need to do your homework. You need a climate study in the face of change. How is your organization in the face of a change, of a big change? Are they aware? Are they okay? Are they very afraid? Okay. Second, you need to make the internal sale of the project. There are books about this, but you need to sell the project. And sell the project is not just promising a better world. It is selling the benefits, but also explaining the challenges. You need to communicate to all the interested parties. Everyone should be well informed about the project. And of course, you need to ensure the support from the top level, as we have seen in a few slides ago. Assign responsibilities and define success metrics before the project starts. And of course, you need to plan the training. Then, during the project of implementing a BPM suite, you need, of course, to train, coach your people. You need to integrate your teams, especially if you have different teams in the process. Of course, you need to perform project management activities because this is a project. You need a project plan, a project manager, and everything else. Then, this is very, very important. You need a help desk, a real-time help desk to lower their response time because people will be afraid of the new technology, will have doubts, will have problems. There will be things that doesn't work as expected. So you need real-time help desk. It is very, very critical to have a fast response. Of course, you need to manage your infrastructure and you need to manage the heroes. The heroism is very controversial, because everybody likes heroes. You like heroes, I like heroes, everybody likes heroes, but you can't you 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 can't be needing a hero every day. Okay, heroes are for just one moment in time. It's okay to have a hero in your team if you have a fire to solve the problem, but you can depend on heroes every day. You need to establish your procedures and your processes to live without heroes. Okay. And of course, internal communication of the project is key during all the steps. And after the project is running and okay, you have a success case, everything is working, the process is automating, everyone is on board and it's happily using the software, then you have to do some things too. For example, you need to redefine the competencies and the structures in your organization because you may have to change them given that now you have a process running, several activities are automated, and you probably will need to make some adjustment. Of course, you need to make those processes suitable for the people. The first version of the process will not be the best. You need to adjust your processes to reality and to real needs. And of course, you need to look at the KPIs and evaluate the project. Do you remember that we said we need to measure before the project? Okay, then you need to measure after the project to see if you gain something, you know? And if you have a success case, then you need to write it down and you need to show it to the rest of the organization. Why? First, to recognize those who support the project and supported the BPM initiative and say, hey, thank you. You did a really, really great job. But second, to show all the rest of the people that were like doubting about the process or the detractors of the process, the people that said, I don't like it, I won't support it because I don't like it, I don't think that it will work. Okay, show them that it works and start converting them into supporters. It is really, really important because you will need their support for the second and for the third and for the fourth process that you're going to implement. Okay? Okay. Second best practice. Choose the right BPM suit. There are BPM suits for all needs. Company sizes, budgets, complexities. Some BPM suits are very, very powerful and flexible, but they are also complex and expensive. You can have a BPM suit, an IBM BPM suit, or the Oracle BPM suit. Okay, they are great products, really, really great. But of course, they are complex, flexible, robust, but expensive, hard to use. You need training, you need consultancy service, and that's okay. That's fine for some kind of processes and some kind of organization. On the other hand, you have the extremely simple, inexpensive, very, very, very easy to use BPM tools, but that have limitations in their application because they are too simple, too simple for your processes. And in the middle, you have several other options. So this is not so easy to choose. In our experience, the best thing that you can do is select a short list of BPM suits and perform a proof of concept and try to see if the BPM suit really fits your needs, your capabilities, your organizational structure. Okay, and then you can choose the one that really fits your needs. Of course, we will be always suggesting and encouraging you to choose no-code, low-code BPM suit because Fluxo is a no-code, low-code BPM suit, and we see that quick results are really, really useful in these times. And agility to modify and to change your processes are key, but not for everyone. So the knowledge that you will get and the experience that you will get in a proof of concept are critical to verify if a BPM suit is or not the perfect suit for your needs and capabilities. Next point is iterative methodology. You need to iterate, you need to involve your stakeholders into the process automation effort, show them results, get their feedback, and show the change quickly. So there you can find some useful capabilities that will help a lot. For example, having a practical way to test your processes in a safe environment using a sandbox is a really useful tool to try to modify your processes and to show the results and then adjust again and again and again. The one-click process deployment is another key feature because you don't want to pass by the IT department to deploy a new version of the process, because it will take days, maybe weeks. You need and have your process running and available for the users to use it or in the sandbox to test it. And of course, the user interface is key. This is, we have been talking about user interface and user experience for many, many years, but it's still a very relevant thing for user adoption. If the user see an ugly interface, it will be difficult to adapt the solution. And the fourth, and I always get back to this point, is measuring. Measuring is key to improve based on objective measures and not in subjective opinions or comments that come from everywhere. You need to see how your process is running in real time and historically to see where your problems really are. Okay, and of course, if you can integrate the process with your business intelligence tool, if you already have one, okay, that's fine because you can merge everything in the same dashboard, in the same analytics, and it's really a great tool. Okay, so conclusions. Okay, BPM provides relevant benefits such as operational efficiency, agility, quality improvement, cost reduction, and compliance. Okay, we have seen a few benefits in this presentation, but this is very, very important to have in mind. But what we have find is that to achieve those benefits, that are really great benefits, but you will need to address a few challenges. Resistance to change is the most important one, but you can also need to face lack of leadership and commitment. If it happens, it is about signal. You need to have a right definition of objective, and you need to address integration of technology that could be difficult. It could be difficult and it could need some technical skills that you may not have in your team. So if you address these challenges, then you are in a good position to get the benefit. And you have to follow best practice to put all this together, like, for example, using no-code technology if you can, and if it is a good fit for your process, it's a great decision because it will let you show results quickly. Building proof of concept to see if the BPM suit fits or not your needs, and quickly iterating. Iteration is key to show results, get feedback, modify, show results, get feedback, and again and again. Okay, if you follow this recommendation, it's probably that you will have a really, really successful BPM implementation and you will achieve all the benefit that we have mentioned. So we are in time. We will move to the Q&A. So please write them down in the chat and I will answer them if I can.
Well, thank you, Juan, for the masterclass, the presentation. It was great. And well, let's wait if anyone has a question.
Can you really make a proof of concept? It is worth the effort. And it is a great question because if you are planning a proof of concept of 10 BPM suit, okay, you won't do it. It's very expensive to evaluate 10 BPM suit. And if you want to, okay, you choose 3, but if you need to perform a really extensive evaluation of the BPM suit, it could be too expensive. Okay, so the recommendation is choosing just 3 BPM suit for the proof of concept and a set of maybe 5, maybe 10, but not more than 10 key aspects that are really relevant for you and evaluate them in a real life process, of your organization to check if the BPM suit fit your needs or not.
Thank you, Juan. We have a couple of questions. First is from Josh Linton. He says, is Fluxo now integrated with G Suite so emails can come from Gmail?
Yes. There are 2 questions in there. Yes, Fluxo is integrated with Google Suite. So, for example, you can use the same authentication method. So, for example, if you are in your Gmail or in any Google Suite account, then you can get into Fluxo without logging in. So this is single sign-on with Google. And it is also integrated, for example, with Google Drive to get the documents for Google Drive into Fluxo. About using the emails from Gmail, yes, you can in Fluxo define a separate SMTP server in order to send the emails from Gmail or from any other email server, for example, from Exchange or any other SMTP compatible email server. Okay?
Perfect, Juan. And then we have 3 questions. I will read you the third questions. Is there a partner program for Fluxo?
Yes,
and the other...
there is. Okay. Yes, there is a partner program for Fluxo. We have partners several countries in the world, and we are open to have more. So, John, thank you for your interest, and yes, we can share the information with you after the meeting.
Perfect. The other one is, does Fluxo offer pre-built simple BPMN mini processes, for example, for common expense patterns?
Yes. In fact, when you create a new process in Fluxo, Fluxo offers a process template library with predefined processes for the more common processes like that, like expenses, vacation request, onboarding, and this kind of very, very common processes that you can take as an input, as a pre-modeled process that you can extend and adapt to your own needs.
Perfect. The last one is associated with that, about the mini processes. John asked if we can share it via Fluxo community, for example.
They are available in the tool. When you create a new process, they are available. But yes, you can, if you build a process that you find that it is very useful, you can download this process, you can share it with the community, or even you can sell it. We have, for example, a few partners in Australia that they have built really complex processes with a lot of knowledge, vertical knowledge in their area, and they use this kind of process with a lot of knowledge to for their customers, and they sell the process to their customers. This is another useful use of the process interchange format. So thank you very much and see you.
Thank you. Bye bye.